I just got a notification that the town of Manlius government is live.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I will call the Manlius Town Board meeting to order for January 12th at 6:30 p.m. As always, we have our virtual instructions at the top of the agenda. We're streaming live to Facebook and to YouTube. We've got some folks joining us via Zoom. So I will then ask Councillor Denton to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. So we have open podium at the next item. This is an opportunity for folks to come in, speak to the board directly for 3 to 5 minutes. If there's anyone in attendance here who is here for open podium, I don't think we have anyone. Is there anyone on Zoom? If you are, I think you just need to raise your hand through Zoom. We'll give that a minute. Okay, so it looks like we don't have anyone for open podium. So next up is Rob Cushing, Highway Superintendent.
Yes, Supervisor, just wanted to mention to the board, I promised we did go out for bid for the street sweeper. I know this has been at least some information for the new board members. Actually, trying to do our bidding on any equipment has been absolutely a nightmare for the last year and a half. So this particular piece of equipment is obviously not like other vehicle. So pretty limited to what we have for places we can purchase. Right now, they're out about 18 months. If we were to order brand new today, we'd be out about 18 months for the delivery date. So with that being said, we started looking at this particular sweeper back late summer, early fall. We demoed it for about 2 weeks. It seems to fit well for what we're going to use it for obviously cleaning our streets. We do have a mechanical sweeper to offset the time that this particular sweeper got us, so that they work hand in hand with each other. So we did do the bid opening. I was hoping we sent everyone got a copy of the bid process here, at least the bid we got. We only got the one bid, and the actual bid was for $276,500. The original quote on that particular piece of equipment was $280,000. And as my conversation with Allison and the vendor actually the other day, he said right now after the first of the year, he said that you're looking at about 300 to 310 right now for that piece of equipment because the steel prices have gone up that much. So at this point, I guess I just need to have a motion made to accept the bid, and we'll move forward with the contract purchase.
So I'll move a motion to accept the bid from J&J Equipment for a time code 600 VAF sweeper that has 12 hours on it. So it's just a demo.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
John, one quick note with that sweeper, our team sweeper is actually a 2008 that we're replacing. So we will be putting that up for Auctions International. And again, just for the new board members, we'll receive bids on that. We probably will put a minimum bid. And then obviously, if the board doesn't feel comfortable with the purchase price or the price that we could receive, the board can eliminate any and all bids. So just so you know.
Okay.
But we've had pretty good luck in the past. So hopefully we won't. And one last quick thing, we did receive a letter, Allison kind of passed it along, I think all the board has it, from I believe Mr. Stephen Cohen, up that road. He's asking, he's got some concerns about the passing zones along the up that road. Just so you know, we don't own or maintain Route 257. It is a state owned and maintained road. But what I'd like to do is make sure that he receives something from the board, from John and myself, telling him that we will pass his concerns along and copy his letter along to the state DOT. And hopefully they'll respond to him with some sort of information about why or why they wouldn't do it.
Can we carbon copy him on whatever we send to the DOT?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Okay.
Thank you, John.
Other than that, I'm good.
Thank you very much, Rob. Next up is planning and development. So we have our new code enforcement officer.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tom Wotris. Just want to say that the first month here has been very positive. I've been working with Lisa and the rest of the code enforcement staff to review and work on developing new procedures that will increase the effectiveness of the planning and development office. I've also been working with Councillor Creasel in working on increasing the amount of that I can do as a code enforcement officer for the NYSERDA Clean Energy Communities Program.
Fantastic.
Yeah, he just signed up today to attend the code enforcement training coming up in February,
Correct.
and we'll get a couple hundred points for that. So
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay.
this is for clean energy communities,
Oh,
not climate smart.
listen, the
Oh.
problem is there's 1 and 2 points of action here, 100 points in action.
Yeah, if
there.
that were 100, we would
Little
have been
confused.
climate smart, but it's still good because we get if we accumulate enough points with clean energy communities, we get more $5,000 grants. So it's still good. And
Fantastic.
we do get points like 1 or 2 for climate smart.
Good stuff. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. You can go home now. You don't have to. You're welcome. Sir.
So they basically just gamified like all this stuff to
Yeah.
incentivize municipalities. And it's like they know the demographic of like the generations pretty
Yeah.
well.
And we actually have an update on that under the committee. So we can talk about gamifying it because it's actually quite interesting.
Next up, Town Attorney, Prince Caskey.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I have 2 items. The first is I have drafted a local law that I've sent everybody last week for the zone change on the Fietta property. As you know, at the last meeting, we approved a public hearing for the 9th, I believe it is. But we didn't actually have the local law in front of us. I wasn't ready for it that night. So now you have it before you. And that actually calls the date for the public hearing. So it's for the 9th, and we did not publish it yet. So if anybody wanted to make a motion just to approve that resolution with the local law that sets the date for a public hearing on February 9th, I think that would be in order.
So we're making a motion to schedule the public hearing. And then what else are we doing?
That's it,
Okay, I'll make a motion to schedule the public hearing on February 9th at 6:35
pursuant to the resolution that was.
pursuant to the resolution that Tim gave us.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Carries. One other note I will say, thank you, Councillor Denton, for commenting when we got that presentation. We have talked to the developers, and if that zone change will move forward. Without the CB, it'll be CA and CA for both of those properties, or both those parcels.
So we don't have a letter or anything like that. from
Not yet, but that's the general intention of.
Because if we did, we could probably have just changed it tonight, but that's okay.
Yeah,
We'll
Wait,
wait.
so John, what are you saying? We jumped from
So
one
the
to
property that we saw at the last, for the zone change,
Correct,
that had a CA portion and a CB portion,
right.
that's gonna be updated to be CA and CA.
But what about the fueling requirements for the police station?
If that is the path we move down, we will have options. Either we will own a property and therefore not be restricted by zoning laws, or if we do, some kind of partnership with them, we can do that zone change at that time. And it'll make sure that there's less CB in general,
Great,
which is, one of our goals, I think.
yeah. Thank you.
So what they present to the public will be the CA.
Yep, and that'll be what the planning board, looks at.
Okay.
The other item I have is, the planning board met on Monday night to review the lease not the lease, to review the site plan and the special permit.
They
for-
quite literally did not review it.
It's for the landfill,
So
solar
just to
farm.
explain, yes,
Just right
the
there.
solar farm on the landfill that's Ireland.
So we have entered into a lease with Abundant Energy to put solar arrays on our landfill.
I can explain this if you'd like.
Yes, I'd love you
Okay,
to.
so the town of DeWitt, just adjacent to the town of Manlius, their landfill and our landfill essentially touch each other. And several years ago, the town of DeWitt started developing a project to do a distributed generation array on their landfill. So when you are driving along the Erie Canal and across the canal, you see all those solar panels That is on Town of DeWitt property. It's owned by a private developer, the panels. And then they have a lease arrangement with the Town of DeWitt. And they're able to, in this public-private partnership, leverage all the tax credits that come with the federal investment tax credit, all of the different elements that a private entity can take advantage of that a public entity could not. And so then they sell the energy back to the Town of DeWitt at a deep discount. They factor in the very cheap land because they lease it to them inexpensively. And that gets built into the reduced cost of energy, in addition to the fact that they were able to take advantage of the tax credits. If the Town of DeWitt had done it on their own, it would have been, they wouldn't have had any of those tax credits and they wouldn't have saved any money because it's the tax credits that make the electricity cheaper than it would be otherwise. So the Town of DeWitt is saving, does anyone remember?
25,000
I thought it was more than that.
or more.
I remember talking about it a lot in 2019, but I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's a lot of money that they're saving every year on electricity.
It was like 27 or something.
They have, of course, a much higher electric bill because they've got many more streetlights and many more buildings than we do. But so when we pursued replicating that project, we did something just a little bit different. We're doing a community distributed generation array. So in DeWitt, all the electricity that's produced by that array goes to the municipality. DeWitt's buying all of it. We are going to be an anchor tenant of our landfill project. So we will get tons of the electricity, should be enough to offset 100% of our usage. And then the members of the community, both in the town of Manlius and from around the region, can participate in our array. So we entered into a lease arrangement with a private developer so that they could lease our landfill and pursue developing this community distributed generation solar project on our property.
For residents too?
For residents too, yeah.
Okay.
But also just other people. It's not gonna be limited to town Manlius residents.
The residents get the first chance to sign up, as I understand.
Not necessarily, but once it comes to customer acquisition, that'll be something that we prioritize, but I don't want to promise that if that doesn't end up turning out.
Thought we put it in the agreement.
It's just, we want to be careful about what we commit to. In terms of how that's actually going to be fleshed out. It's my understanding the town of Manlius residents will be given priority, but it's exactly how the semantics of that will work.
Technically, it's any Niagara or national grid.
That's great.
Yeah, any national grid, anywhere in the state could participate in our array. Ultimately.
So this is a site plan of the solar farm. Okay. And,
Can I look at that?
and one of the issues that came up by one of the board members was that when we entered into the original lease, we didn't have a lease description of the property because we weren't really, a legal description, yes, of the property, because we weren't quite sure where on the landfill all the arrays would be going.
There's quite a bit of wetlands.
Yeah, so they have provided us with that. And the planning board member made a valid point that, you know, this board never looked at the legal description. I have looked at it. I don't expect you to look at it. But I would like this board to approve the legal description that is reflected in that site plan so that the planning board has comfort in knowing that the town board knows where on the landfill these arrays are going to go.
So what are all these?
These are just the meets and bounds description of the property, and it's outlined in red.
Okay.
Maybe we could all just look at it and pass around and then we can feel comfortable.
And you can look at this also.
Okay,
It's not going to mean
that.
anything to you.
I think there's like.
Right, the random numbers
Numbers.
are not the same as the map itself. Yeah, I can't tell.
Correct. Let me just enter it.
I'm a geographer. No, I am not.
But if you guys probably recall, the actual size of the array is determined by utility. So they came to us in the spring for permission to go to the utility, and then the utility tells them what they can actually have, and they have to come back to us, and that's why this is happening in this stepwise way.
Yeah, part of the difficulty that we've had and that the planning board has expressed, and we worked on this tirelessly last year, was that how solar gets developed is not traditional for most real estate development. And so there was a lot of confusion just in terms of the learning curve that seems to continue. The planning board seems to be still struggling with the order in which solar projects get developed, despite our best efforts to get everyone on the same page. But hopefully, we'll be able to work out those misunderstandings.
Very good.
So what motion do you need at this point?
Just a motion to approve the legal description that's been provided by Abundant Solar for the lease.
And this is what you and I have been emailing about, correct?
Yes,
Legal description for the.
lease.
So,
The Abundant Energy lease.
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion to accept the legal description of the lease for the community solar array on the town's retired landfill.
Second.
all in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Thank you for doing that on such short notice, but it was an issue with the planning board on Monday, and I thought this would at least clear up that confusion so that that won't be an issue going forward.
Thanks for bringing the map.
You're welcome.
Hopefully that will give the planning board everything they need so it can seamlessly move forward.
There you go.
It's been, I'm not taking the answer.
Next up, we have Town Clerk Glover.
I have nothing to report.
I think we should make it mandatory that Allison give us at least one thing.
Or sing that Whitney Houston line. I have nothing.
Oh my God, I will sing that.
Chief?
2022 in-service training started yesterday, so that went well. Just 2 more days in January, continue on February. Ask for a little bit of patience for the town board. If you don't know, our division commander retired, and we're making a transition from one captain to the other, so there's going to be some growing pains there. So apologies in advance. And lastly, I also apologize for the late email that went out on the statement of engagement. And I think Councilor Waters indicated that probably gonna be tabled, I guess, I don't know, or if not, we'll come to executive session, but it's gonna be tabled, if it's tabled.
Is the plan to just discuss that over the next?
Yeah, since I think it would be good for me to get feedback and gather all the questions so we could ask them at once and move it along.
Great.
I don't know if we'll be able to do that in executive session tonight, since not everybody's had a chance to read
Well,
through
why
it.
don't you'll work on that over the next week and
Yeah.
we'll try to get that on the
Yeah,
next agenda.
I won't sit on it with you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mhm.
Could you tell us who the new captain is?
I'm sorry.
Who's the new captain?
He's, the old captain is just changing divisions. So
Okay.
he's going from operations division to admin division. So it was Captain Schaefer who retired, and now it's gonna be Captain Slater and admin. He's
So
kind of juggling.
so who's
both
gonna be the new
divisions.
person in operation?
But like you and I discussed, the lieutenant's moving up
Yeah.
into operations to be able to handle the majority of that.
Fantastic.
No new captain.
No,
Yeah.
Chief, can we lose one of the Claros at Fayetteville Elementary School in Norwood?
One of the not Cyros, but one of the special patrol officers decided that it wasn't a good fit for him, and he
Was that one of the people we just hired recently?
yes.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else?
Is there anything we can do to help with the transition?
At Fayette or with the
With the
divisions?
the divisions, yeah.
Not at this time. Captain Slater's got his hands full,
Mhm.
and he's getting through it, trying to talk him off the ledge every day.
But he's had experience.
We'll get there. Oh, yeah, he's a really sharp guy, so he'll pick it up. It just takes a while.
So if everyone here and everyone watching at home could just do us a favor and not commit any crimes for the next few weeks, keep things nice and calm.
Don't jinx it, John.
I'm just asking.
Knock on wood.
Yeah. Next up, Town Manager Ruth.
I have nothing to report.
Okay, committee reports for Sustainable Manlius.
Yes, I have a very exciting update of the Sustainable Manlius Committee, and with particular emphasis on Ryan Dunn, our past community chair of the committee. He and I worked together extensively with many of you and with our town manager and several other people in the community and staff inside town hall. And we submitted for the Climate Smart Communities just in under the wire. I think we had like an hour to spare before we got that in. So we're cautiously optimistic that we will be certified as a Climate Smart Community this year. And if that is the case, we'll hear end of February, early March, we will be the first municipality in Onondaga County to receive that certification, which is a really big deal.
Fingers crossed.
And as Heather mentioned, it's interesting because they have gamified it. So you get all these different points for doing all these different things. And a lot of it felt redundant. Like I knew we had done the work. And so now we have to prove it with all these different, emails and pictures. And poor Allison had to go around and take pictures of the recycling bins for 2 hours last year. to prove we had them. So often it feels a little bit asinine, but what's interesting is when they push you to prove it, you realize the gaps that you've missed. And it's actually made our committee better, like to a great extent. And we had to, one of the things that we worked on a lot last week was the strategy document. So this was a strategy document that they wanted us to have written before EarthFest last year. So we had formulated a strategy, but we didn't write it down. Once I went back and read all the emails and all the things that we had done to write the strategy document, it's going to make this EarthFest so much better because we did so many things that I didn't remember. And I was like, we did reach out to the FM schools and we did Peach Jar. We did reach out to Senator Rachel May. I'd forgotten we'd done that. And we had all these organizations that had sponsored our event and helped us that I had forgotten about since then. So it's really awesome. I'm so excited. I hope we're done. I mean, by all means, I don't want to keep doing this, but we would, if we win, or if we are approved, we'll be a certified bronze community. There could even be like a press conference here. Allison, you remember that the one press conference you saw? You like send it to me, they're like, oh, there's a press conference for the climate smart communities like last summer. So they could come here. It would be a big deal. So
Looking forward to it.
I saw that Pittsburgh is working on their initial efforts. And so it'll be exciting to be in a position to talk with other municipalities that are interested.
Yeah, it's all public. Everything you submit is public. So everyone from around the state will be able to look to our community to say, what did they do to get these things done? And what we're planning on doing is staying current with it. So you can continue to submit and get additional points working toward becoming a silver community in the event that we receive bronze. If we don't get it this time, we will surely get it in the next round because we have so much stuff we're going to be working on in the next few months. It's going to get us dozens of more points and we'll be way over it. But when we submitted it over the summer last year, we ended up missing out by 13 points. We fixed all those actions that we didn't get credit for and then added several new ones. So now I think we've got like 20 over. So we have enough of a
buffer.
Yeah. And so we'll see how it goes. But like, as we do stuff with the electric vehicle charging stations, we can go into the system, document it while we're doing it. So we're not trying to remember what we did before and submit that. And it's really going to keep our community held accountable and heading in the right direction with sustainability. It was very exciting. And Ryan deserves the plaque. I'm like gonna get him a plaque.
Yeah, we might travel all the way to college to where he is in school to deliver it, yeah. But by bike, or
Thank you very much for
virtually.
the update. Next up, we have comprehensive planning.
So sorry, that's one of the reasons I was talking, because I wanted to say that I think that Councillor Vollinger and I can relate some of the successes of Sustainable Manlius to the reason that we were awarded by the DEC a grant of $22,250 for the Climate Smart Communities projects that reduce greenhouse gas emissions in the town. So the goals we're developing for that, but also the operations and processes that we're putting in place through the comprehensive plan. And so I think that's what's so great is that where we can find efforts that build on each other and maximize our efficiency in our efforts, both for professional staff and for the counselors and our volunteers, we'll do it. And we have so many things happening now with comprehensive planning that I actually just want to encourage everyone to go to the comprehensive planning section of our website, because we have both listening sessions / focus groups that people can participate in. And we have listening sessions that will be recorded and available for folks. And there will be a number of surveys coming out. And you can always send an email to us at comprehensiveplanning@townofmanlius.org with your questions. We're meeting on January 18th as a steering committee.
No.
Wait, February 18th.
February 16th.
So, okay.
Oh, you were so close.
We have a number of meetings of our subcommittees in January, and then our main group will get together to talk about progress. And our goal is to have a lot of information processed by spring so that we can be presenting to the board an initial draft in the summertime.
Fantastic.
So I do want to announce that there is a listening session on the Old Erie Canal, specifically at 11 a.m. on January 20th. That will be broadcast, right? It will be broadcast live, and then the recording will be available thereafter if that's not a convenient time for you to watch it. It's just a 1 hour component about the Erie Canal, which is pretty central to, literally central to our town. So I hope people can take advantage of that opportunity.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to attend in person or you just watch on the Zoom?
It's going to be just Zoom.
And that's a tremendous opportunity for our town. We have some opportunities to participate in sort of the development activities in that project. But the project though is very active in Madison County and really across the state. And there's lots of grant opportunity that comes along with this initiative. So it's exciting and really relevant.
Fantastic.
Is that listening session going to include anything on the Ledyard Canal or on the feeder canal to the Erie?
No,
Canal?
this is the Erie Canals, their own group, so it's a state park group. And so
Gotcha.
there's representatives from the Canal Corp and the state park and the Old Erie Canal Working Group.
Awesome. Jamie Kowalczyk?
Yep.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you for the update. Next up is Councillor Denton with the website redesign update.
I did promote you to a panelist.
Okay, so this is our current website. So I wanted to, I'm excited to share an update on where we are. I have been working with Allison and John on this, and today I wanted to give a preview of what the redesign will look like in a few months. So here it is.
Wow.
That's the best deal.
Okay, so as you can see, we will have a clean, fresh, new design of our website. We are prioritizing the pages and areas where residents can access the information they are looking for quickly based on the analytics of our current website. Scroll down. Oh, yeah. let me go.
And that initial image is actually a carousel, so like all the different stuff that's actively happening will kind of roll through there as a, because a lot of the feedback we've gotten from folks is that, you know, the website's useful if you know what you're looking for, but if you just want to know what's going on, this is a really good way to say, hey, comprehensive plan, sustainable Manlius, all the different stuff we have going on.
I mean, so instead of these like little buttons here on the side,
Yeah.
these will now be in this kind of bigger long slide here.
Very nice.
And then the latest news will have a little bit more visual area to it. We'll have quick links to our departments and these usually. We have a more visual town calendar. You can see when our meetings are and planning board and preparation.
And this new layout is very mobile friendly, which we know more and more people are using devices rather than a computer to access the web. So, you know, the idea here is that if it's your first time on the website or your 100th time on the website, you can always scroll once to the page and see new stuff, see what's going on, stay in tune. And it's a pretty nice visual upgrade too.
And then the interior pages will be pretty similar to what we have now, but again, they'll just be updated to the fresh, clean design.
Well, and also Councillor Denton has been doing a lot of work to make sure that each of our pages is updated with recent information, reformatting things, making them a little bit more visually pleasing, easier to consume for the data. So once this is ready to go, pretty much every page will have been looked at and refreshed a little bit. So very hopeful that this will be a nice,
Do you have a timeline of
Yeah.
when?
So our next meeting with Civic Fest will be in March. So we're thinking maybe April, we might be able to push this live, but we'll see. That's our goal, I would say, is April.
and the way that it's delivered to us is essentially they apply this new template to our website and it lives just parallel to our current one.
Right.
So we can take some time, make sure everything looks good, it's readable, and then we'll just flip a switch
Yeah,
and the new website will be live.
great.
And it will be, as I update pages too, I'll make sure I check with departments to have it their say, make sure they have approval and all that too. And then, so this gives you a visual idea of what's to come, and then that April. So as we work on the redesign of our website, we will be updating content and adding new features to, and new content to our current website. One feature that we are working on will be highlights from the clerk coming soon. We're working on this now. And this will be great. This will be, I'm sharing highlights from town board and planning board meetings. And then we'll also be adding our public notices to our website as well. So a lot will be happening as we get closer to launching the redesign, including some changes to our current site. And if anyone sees any issues or has any questions as things potentially move around, please feel free to contact me and ask me anything.
Thank you.
Any questions?
It looks so
Thank
beautiful.
you so much. To the whole, to you and the whole team working on it. Thank you.
And I will add too, the redesign process is included with the Civic Plus, so
Well, but not a, I mean.
not the extensive work that Elaine's been doing,
In
but the
kind.
visual overhaul was actually something that was included when the website was purchased a while ago.
No.
And it's been since 2016.
Needed to take, use that
bit,
coupon.
yeah.
There's a gift certificate.
And I want to just reference that in the highlights thing, that the highlights from the clerk that Lisa did for the planning board was very effective and kind of keep everybody up to speed with
Yeah.
very little time.
Really great.
Yeah, we created that on a suggestion, but then found that it was actually more helpful internally as well. We all like it, so.
Great.
So I'm gonna give a quick update and talk about something else, but basically, we received, I think 900 test kits from the county last week. We continued to partner with Mayor Olson. They did a handout at IC over the weekend. We gave a few tests to Mayor Brazil up in Manoa. He did a handout this Monday. We did one last Thursday where we handed out about 150 tests. And going into this week, understanding what the needs were, we made it so that folks, if they called and asked for a test, we could hold on to their data until we knew where we were getting them out. We had some delivered. Thank you, Councillor Waters, for that. And basically, as of today at about noon, we did run too low on supplies, so we have suspended the handouts that we've been doing. What I will say is, if we do receive another shipment of tests, I think we have figured it out at this point, what processes work, how to get those out as quick as we can, and also make sure we're prioritizing folks, that can't make it down to a drive up, or, for whatever reason, can't make it down to town hall and get their own test kit. So excited to see if we get more of those. My understanding is we're supposed to be getting more masks as well. That's something that we've also run out of. We were handing out a lot of masks as we were handing out tests. So happy to see in the community, we've got a lot of the KN95s that people are wearing. And so we'll see if we get more tests, we're ready. But I do want to give a special thanks to the recreation department, who did, just like during the pandemic when they were handing out, the crafts and the science kits and that stuff, they did it, and they did a very good job of it. And also to all of our clerk staff who have been answering those phone calls and filling out the form and making sure we didn't lose track of anybody. So really excited that we were able to, kind of tackle that head on and make sure we were getting those out as fast as we can. Something that isn't on the agenda, I think I've discussed with some of the board. If you remember back to the Inland Port Project, something that's been coming and going for a while now. I did speak with Chris Beckett, 3GI, and also Assemblyman Magnarelli to try and see, right now there's a log jam, and fingers are being pointed at us for holding up a zone change. We've made it very clear that we're interested in the project, at least, to some capacity, and we want to see this happen, but we left it that we couldn't approve a zone change of any kind unless we knew that it was going to solve our main problem, which is the traffic problem over on Fremont Road. So what I am asking the board is, are we comfortable if I draft a letter of support to say, we are generally in support of the Inland Port project? However, for us to move forward, we need, really confirmed access. And that will be paired with a letter from Assemblyman Magnarelli and some of our state delegation. And I was just talking with Councillor Italiano about reaching out to Center State. So at this point, we kind of see that where the momentum is, we are seeing increased truck traffic. I know we've been getting a number of complaints about it. And I think we all know that there's never going to be less trucks there. We are working to make sure that we get an equitable outcome with the 41 rebuild project. Hopefully to have a service road that would take truck traffic directly from 41 or the new 81 right into the rail yard, which would help everybody. It would remove all of our traffic issues.
Yeah, I thought we were still, I would be hesitant to sign a letter saying that I'm generally in support of the inland port. I don't feel that way.
Okay.
And I feel that it was really two parts. It wasn't just that we hadn't heard from CSX that they would even allow this to happen. And there were a lot of unanswered questions about the viability of whether it would ever even come to be. And with the zone change and what else could be built there was my second one. And then the third one, I just never really, I believe that the 81, the new 81 and having the service road, that's the solution that seems to work. The inland port, based on everything we heard from all the experts we spoke with, seemed to be redundant and not helpful with the problems we're trying to solve. So I'm not sure that I would be in support of a letter like that.
Okay.
But what a letter I would be in support of is the reason why the zone change hasn't moved forward is because the biggest reason was we didn't ever hear back about CSX.
Okay.
But I wouldn't say generally, am I willing to support that project now?
Would you say that we're interested in reviewing it and hearing more about it?
I think Elaine wants to say something.
I have one, but you kind of covered some, but I'm probably going to be repetitive. So I don't support a letter because I believe the board has been very clear on where we stand with this project as we denied the zone change in 2020 after reviewing this project in detail. The logistics were not there and they're still not there. In 2021, when this project again presented to us, it was acknowledged again that there was no support for the zone change. And the application in 2021 did not include the roads to remove the trucks off our local roads as it did in 2020. So without the roads to divert the truck traffic off of Fremont Road, this project would not help mitigate the traffic issue. In my opinion, which I still believe is shared with others on the board, as we sent a letter to the New York State Department in September of last year stating that the town of Manlius is advocating that the Kirkville interchange be expanded to include an access road directly to the rail yard, because this would absolutely reduce truck traffic in our town, which is our residents' top concern. So I would be hesitant to sign a letter, especially not seeing it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if you write something and then we can work on it with you, and then if we all feel comfortable, we can vote that we authorize you to send it. But I think it's so controversial, and we've all been through the ringer with it. I think we can
Absolutely.
certainly work on it with you, I think, over the next.
Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll draft something, I'll send it out, and then, we can talk about it at the next meeting.
Okay, great.
Awesome.
I think the momentum of this particular time is valuable to take advantage of. And I think we need to emphasize the access road component of it, because Route 81 is happening.
Yeah.
And we need that we and our partners with the county, Town of DeWitt, other partners to really push that solution from which the inland port can put their warehouses if they want to. So that's all. It doesn't rule out the inland port. It just, the main thing is the access road.
Yeah.
I completely agree, Sarah. Secretary Buttigieg had a post just the other day about the value of inland ports across the country. And there is no doubt in my mind that as we look at big infrastructure projects, inland ports are going to become more and more important. And we know the logic behind this particular rail yard and the success in being able to meet the need of the shipping needs that shippers have, and also its location. And we know that it's probably one of the reasons that Amazon has located itself where it did. One of the things we wanted to know back in the day was we wanted to understand the hand that wasn't being shown to us by the railroads, and to understand at a county level and a state level what kind of support there was for an inland port. That's all important to know, but I agree. When it comes to our constituents and the people here, we do need to know exactly what the plans are in a finite way in terms of seeker and environmental impact for the land, but the traffic mitigation
Is,
and the
and
people
that's
that
what I've
live
been
there.
trying to make
That's
clear
the
to
most
everybody.
important.
is
Yeah.
Whatever big plans there are, I appreciate them. I like the idea of an inland port that makes, that makes our economy stronger. But at the end of the day, our main concern is that traffic problem. 'Cause that's what our job is to do, is to
Yeah.
make sure that our residents are getting what they need. And right now, that increased truck traffic is pretty bad.
And now is the time when they're going to be investing in infrastructure, they're going to be investing in Route 81. This is when we should be making a lot of noise.
And the 81 piece is going to take a decade to actually have an impact, and we need it to, if we have an opportunity to deal with traffic more readily than that, I think we have to look at it.
And I do think with the community years 481, there were supposed to be improvements to 481 as well.
Yeah,
It's a good way to
and I think, yeah, we know that, the 41 exit down Genesee Street 92
The three.
is gonna be looked at.
Yeah.
Linden Corners is hopefully going to be expanded. And I know when we talked with Edmund Blanco over in DeWitt, the goal was always to say, that's all good, but get that Kirkville exit, we have an opportunity there to really change the way we have traffic patterns. And I would say a pretty debilitating issue with this truck traffic, so.
Yeah, we remember the letter the constituent sent with all the names of the trucking
Yeah.
companies that were passing by their door.
Could you give just a quick background for the benefit of our new town councilors about what we're all talking about?
Yeah, so we covered it a little bit prior to the meeting, but basically, there is north of the CSX rail yard, there's a piece of property that 3GI owns that they were looking to implement an inland port in a multi-phase process. The first step of the process is just being a container yard that would allow trucks to move in off hours and stay there and then move to the trains when they're there and to manage the traffic. And we had a lot of back and forth on that, the size of the industrial zoning, feasibility of all that, understanding funding. And really when it came back to us the second time or third time, we had a pretty strong conversation that said, until we can see that you're gonna have access from your property through to the CSX rail yard, this was not something we're interested in, because unless it solves that traffic issue, we don't essentially want to just add a parking lot, unless that's phase one of solving that traffic issue. And so that's what I've been talking, with Mr. Beck and some of the Magnarelli. So I will absolutely.
And on the 81 and connecting it to 81 or to 481 or soon to be.
Yeah, so Sarah, you worked together with Mikolenko to draft a letter, Supervisor Mikolenko over in DeWitt, to draft a letter to the DOT saying that this is what we're asking for this. As the money's being spent, we think that this is a really good use of it. We already know that work's gonna be done in that area, and to be able to have that service road, again, is a huge benefit to us. And that service road would essentially take all the truck traffic off of Kirkville Road and Fremont Road, except for crossing, north to south or south to north to get back onto 81, 481.
And Councillor Italiana, one of the reasons why we supported her joining our board is she's been working on the 81 project as a stakeholder due to her day job. So she will have a lot of expertise and a great network of contacts in terms of us being able to communicate effectively with the state about what we want, why we want it, and why we want it now.
Fantastic. So what I'll do is I'll draft something that everybody can look at. We'll have a conversation about it, and then we'll look at it at the next meeting.
Two quick points to raise in this forum. I would say it's very important for us to know that we have partnership from Congressman Katko's office and understanding this need before us. And also in the county executive's office to understand what's happening. So thank you for, I know that they can be good partners on these
Absolutely.
issues, and we really need them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we should, there's so much to, once you start talking about the inland port, you end up talking about like national government and
Yeah.
and so there's so many stakeholders. We'll see how the letter goes. I'm hesitant about it.
Yeah,
We'll see how
sounds
it
good.
goes.
Well, what I'll do is I'll try to get that drafted so everybody can see it, and, we'll work on it until we feel comfortable with it.
Not to continue on this subject, but why now are you considering sending this letter? Like what happened that you thought that you would want to send this letter?
I had a conversation this week with Mr. Beck and Mr. Summon Magnarelli.
Okay, right. And so
Assemblyman McNarelli is also very keyed into all activities on, related to transportation at the state
He's the chair
level.
of the
He's the chair of the
transportation.
transportation committee, so I wouldn't be surprised. if-
And there's urgency with the federal money and the state money, all for infrastructure and stuff like that. So
Gotcha.
that's where that stems
Okay,
from.
so Mr. Beck is still coming to us and asking for us to support this project.
Yes.
Great. It's like whack-a-mole.
Okay,
He is
so
the definition of tenacious. I really admire him for that.
Heather, you are so silver lining me. I love that.
No, I love it.
so next up, we have approval of the minutes for
Great.
December
So,
8th.
Mr. Supervisor, I would like to make a motion to approve the minutes of 12:8 as amended.
I'll second.
Okay, any
No,
discussion?
Elaine second. Were you gonna second?
You're good.
No, you can second if you want a second.
You can second that, Jen?
Oh, okay, I'll second.
Any questions, discussion on that? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Carries.
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of 12:22 as also slightly amended.
I will second.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carry, or abstain? Carry.
And Mr. Supervisor, I would like to make a motion to approve abstract number 1 of 2022
And I'll second.
in the amount of $453,976.15.
We are spending that money. I'll second.
All in favor? Opposed? Abstain?
It's always a big one, the first one.
William, are you abstaining? Oh, you're just.
Carries.
You have to abstain, but he didn't have to abstain.
Okay, so we heard a zone change application for a Dollar General at 6589 Sheps Corner Road. We ended up, did we do a public hearing for that?
No, we just-
No, we just referred it to the planning.
Yeah,
board.
so we referred it to the planning board. They came back with a recommendation of no. I'm inclined to go with their recommendation. So I just wanted to offer an opportunity, if anyone would like to make a motion in favor of that zone change.
I have to check in. I was looking through really quickly and I didn't do it soon enough. I could not see the notes about their, in the agenda.
Planning board?
Yeah, from the planning board. They weren't attached
I
to
think,
the November
I see the zone change
22nd
application. but-
meeting.
The planning boards, I looked it up, the planning board main concern was that they're in the middle of comprehensive planning right now. Also, there's 81 parking spots were required, but the site only allowed for 35 spots. But primarily it was the fact that they're in the middle of comprehensive planning right now.
Thank you.
Anybody-
Thank you, Councillor Taliana.
You're welcome. Councilor
So
Waters.
if anybody would like to make a motion to approve that zone change? Okay, so motion, no motion.
So it's clear that we can let the applicant know that there is no support within this town board to make that zone change based on recommendation of the planning board and
We don't have
frankly
to
of
make
your
a
own.
motion and then all vote no.
No, we can't make a motion because we have to do a public.
We'd have to do
hearing.
both, okay.
Okay, great. So we're just gonna tell them we don't want it.
Yep.
Great.
So
Exactly.
we'll
Based on
direct
the
the
negative
supervisor to let
declaration.
them
I
know.
will be communicating with them to let them know what transpired.
You've been directed.
I'm so
Thank you, thank
excited.
you.
What transpired
Okay.
at the meeting tonight?
Seeing nothing further on the agenda, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We always want to-
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah, just-
Listen.